has everybody got a copy of the minutes from a previous meeting?
Yes.
That is a draft, and if you would look over it and see if there needs to be any changes. If so, let's hear those. If not, I'd
I
recommend a
move that
motion.
we approve as submitted.
Got a motion, and I'll need a second.
I'll second.
Peggy, second. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimous. All right, has everybody got a copy of that recommendation list? From the, let me be sure I'm in tune with this. Yeah, the draft by, that Mike and Jerry, last time we were here, we kind of got stumped there right at the end, and Mike and Jerry got together and put together some of their ideas on what the steering committee, the IBA membership could look like. So did you get one of those? You got one of those, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Guys, if you want to kind of just tell us what you were thinking.
Okay, let me just kind of give a little background for those that weren't here last time. Our train of thought was to, how can we remove as much of the politics out of the IBA as possible, and how can we get it more focused on business, sound business decisions. And so in that train of thought, this is what we came up with, is by removing the elected officials and putting in appointees, we kind of remove some of the overt politics of it. We also tried to eliminate as much of the overlap with other authorities as possible. And that way you don't have a decision being made in one that impacts the other and having the same people voting on it, you know. So, and I think I think there's a number of ways that we could approach that, but here's what Jerry and I came up with, and it's in that context that you want me to just read this to everybody so they know what's going on?
Yeah,
okay.
sure. They need to hear it.
And it says, we believe that the interests of the citizens can be better served by a change in the makeup of the membership of the authority. We propose that the membership should not include any elected officials, but shall be made up of members appointed as follows. The governing head of Paulding County shall appoint, with the approval of the majority of the Board of Commissioners, 3 persons to serve on the authority. Seat 1 shall be for an initial term of 2 years. Seats 2 and 3 shall be 3-year terms. Now, the purpose of that is to stagger the terms so we don't have all the appointments being made at the same time, okay? After the initial seat, the initial seat 1 term will become a 3-year term. The mayor of the city of Dallas and the mayor of the city of Hiram, with the approval of the majority of the respective city council, shall each appoint 1 member to the authority for a term of 1 year. Again, we're trying to do this staggering thing. And after that, the second term will be 3 years. The Chamber of Commerce shall retain its current seat on the authority as it is at present. All appointees shall be eligible for reappointment with the approval of the respective governing bodies.
All right, so currently the membership is made up of, and you might want to jot this down so you can kind of compare, is the mayor of Dallas, the mayor of Hiram, the president of the chamber, the governing head of the county, which is commission chair, and 2 appointees by the governing head, the commission chair. So there's 6 currently.
They do not, according to the way I read the law, he does not have to seek the approval of the Board of Commissioners for those appointed.
They're strictly appointed by him.
He has as a courtesy, but he does not have to do that.
Correct. So, looking at that and then comparing to this really removes every one of those except for the president of the chamber.
Right.
Now keep in mind that this is just, we're making a recommendation to the commissioners. I would imagine most of these people would say, fine by me. I if we're at the point of discussion,
Yeah, I think we are. I mean, that's the whole purpose here.
I personally think that it should stay the way it is, with the addition of maybe one more, just for it to be odd, for there to be 7 instead of 6, just for voting purposes. Now, I do think that the 2 appointees should be approved by the majority of the commissioners. I do think, that's what we were just talking about, instead of him having the sole ability to do it, that it would have to be a majority. So they'd have to talk about who they are.
Right.
Would you do that, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Would you do that with, like, the mayor of Hiram and the mayor of Dallas, each making an appointee? Does that have to be approved by the city council of each respective city?
That would
you
be
put
my
it
first
that
blush.
in?
But I don't know.
Yeah, they don't have, I mean, they're not entitled to appoint anybody as it is now, see?
But you're talking about the new way.
But
They're-
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But will you put in there that with
again-
the approval of the city council?
Right.
So
I
then
would
that
think
is more people.
Well, yeah, I
involved in the
think
decision
each
making?
body, that's right, because, yeah, it gets more people involved in the
Mhm.
decision
out
making.
there.
Yeah,
If you have opposing factions within the governing bodies of each of these entities, then they have to come to some consensus, which
Exactly.
means it's not gonna be necessarily be
Not
a
one
yes
person.
man for whoever gets appointed. It removes some of the perception of the good old boy
Absolutely.
system, you know, and that's really what that's really one of the things that
Needs to be
even
addressed.
though there may or may not be a quote-unquote good old boy, the perception of it
Yes,
is what
it is.
the voting public, and as long as taxpayer money is involved, we need to be in tune with that.
Well, I would just say that if that happened, then whoever it is that we're talking about, whether it's Mike Scott or Paul Count or whoever it is, then they're gonna have to pretty much go to every commission meeting. They're gonna have to go to as many, city council meetings. And they're gonna come to every IBA meeting. And then they're not gonna get paid a
I don't
dime
think
to
they
do
would
it.
have to do that.
That's the
Once
only
they're
way they
appointed-
would have enough knowledge to know what in the world's going on. Otherwise, how are they gonna, if they're appointed by the commissioners, how are they gonna even know what's on the table unless they attend the meetings?
Well,
I mean-
if they are appointed by the or the commissioners, those 2 can go all to all the chamber meetings, or the commissioners
Yeah.
meeting. The
Well-
one that's appointed by the mayor of Dallas can go to Dallas meetings, the one that's appointed to
I'm just saying
Hiram.
that's a unique, that's
I
not
mean,
me.
that you would take, each one of those board members would go to the meeting of the
And I
person
agree.
who that appointed them. Not necessarily have to go to the whole, to
Right.
every one of the meetings, but go to, okay, let's say, the mayor of Dallas appointed somebody. Well, if that person goes to all the Dallas city council meetings, and he should, or he or she, whoever, so that they know what's going on, that's in the best
Well,
interest
you
of
gotta-
Dallas.
Now, I don't
No.
see the need for them to go to all of these meetings and appointee to
Well,
these.
what's the purpose of being on the IBA?
Well, the defined purpose of the IBA, to help bring industry. What we're trying to do is separate some of the politics out of it,
Okay,
not
keep it
stir the pot
strictly
even
to
more.
I'm just trying to be practical for me, and I may not be being practical, but I just don't
Well-
see that there's gonna be a layperson out here that's willing to put forth the amount of time that it's gonna take to do that effectively. I mean, and the only reason I say that, I think that the people that we're talking about who's on the IBA, I think that and let's, just for a moment, has there been any impropriety done other than what may be perceived by the hired hand?
Not to my knowledge, you know.
That
and-
perception is reality to a lot of people.
Well, that's
That's
right.
it, that's a perception's the whole key.
Well, when we would have to
But
change
yeah.
the way we lived, everything, we have to change the whole world. I mean, some of that just lays out there
Mhm.
that way. I just think that these are my 2 points, was, we need their knowledge of ongoing public interests, and we need their immediate resources. Meaning that, if you were representing the commissioners, you would have to come back tomorrow to talk with the commissioner, to have a secretary, or to have someone to pull the paperwork. It just goes beyond the scope of what we're really thinking about. There's so much more that's gotta be done after the meeting, or before the meeting.
Well,
that we just do not have the time or the resources to do.
Well,
I
part
think
of,
the
part
reason-
of what you're talking about though, is the, head of, the person in charge of, the paid person that works for the county, that's the liaison to the IBA.
And we've already
such as
addressed
what,
that.
Right, would be responsible for getting that information to the members of the IBA in the reports prior to their meetings. It wouldn't require them to attend that. They're given some, just as they are now, they're given a summary of what's going on
Well,
prior to the meeting.
and if that's the direction y'all wanna go, I mean, that's fine.
So I think.
I would be opposed,
Mhm.
but hey, it's not about me. You know, I would just say, I'm just saying that
Well, I'm not
There's-
saying this is the perfect
there,
fix. but I
there's
think
no, to me, it almost is like a knee-jerk reaction. You know, let's just totally wipe slate clean, let's change it up altogether, when really there hasn't been anything. You know, if we agree that through the times that, up to this point, that the IBA has been acting effectively, that it's been doing what it was really designed to do. You know, the only real issue is that it commingled with another authority.
Mhm. But I think, my way of thinking is it can be, the job can be done much better if you have business-oriented people making decisions based on sound business practices rather than political issues.
In a perfect world, I agree with you. I think it's just gonna be hard for the mayor to find that person. And then, I think it's gonna be hard to find 6
I don't think
people.
that's the case at all. I think there are lots of people that would be willing to serve, especially if the politics was removed from it as much as it is. I
Okay.
think one of the biggest issues we have right now is the personal political attacks, the personal attacks on some of the non-politician members.
Well, I can say this, if these people were here, they'd probably be saying, Raymond, shut up, and let them go that way.
So,
Okay, I mean, if I was the mayor, I'd say, yeah, take me off the daggum thing. If I was the commission chair, I'd say, hey, I don't wanna be here
yeah,
anyway.
and,
So,
you
you
know,
know.
one of the concerns that was raised by a gentleman that was here last time had to do with, having because the county is the one that guarantees the bonds, having them subject to the
Final
discretion,
approval.
final approval. That's not gonna change here. You're actually going to have, people making recommendations and requests and having to have somebody else look at it to make sure it's sound, that would actually approve that, because the commissioners will still retain that right to
Or you
approve all
said,
of that.
earlier, you had an alternative thought.
Well, the other thing, and I thought about this after Jerry and I had our meeting and whatnot, and I got to think about this. The other thing would be, rather than, again, removing not removing the, but expanding the membership of the committee, of the IBA, by allowing the mayor of the city of Dallas, the mayor of Hiram, the president of the chamber, and each of the post commissioners to appoint an additional member to the thing. The only thing about that is that gets awful big, because you're adding 3 more members net to what we have, because you've already got 2 that are appointed by the county commission chairman. You know, it gets awful big, but again, my thinking is sometimes, a little more diverse background like that can bring something to the table that's missing here. And that would also weight the thing, as far as voting goes, more in favor of the business community rather than the political community. So some of the decisions could be, because if if you're adding those, you're basically adding 4 members or 5 members. 6 members to it. You know.
All right, my,
And then it becomes 13-member committee.
Well, I mean, I think the other concern was the overlap with the airport.
Well, again, you wouldn't have, well,
And when you
we
got,
can't get into the airport authority stuff, but it's my understanding that they're gonna make recommendations to change their membership where it would eliminate the political.
Some of the overlap as well.
Yeah, it would
Well,
eliminate
if we
the
went to
political side.
this recommendation like this, can you put in there too that, if you're serving on this board, you don't get on, that it would be a conflict of interest to serve on another authority, so you
Well, I
don't have-
disagree, because I think that because of the financial ties.
Well, no, I mean, like this and the airport.
Let me finish.
Yeah,
The IBA has loaned money to the airport authority. Because of that financial interest, I think that that the IBA needs representation on that authority to oversee that, because, I don't think it needs to be 5 members of it, but I think we need 1 or 2 members from the IBA that would serve on the airport authority, and then the bulk of the
well,
airport
you still
authority.
get the commissioners or the final authority, so wouldn't that be
You may
the
or may-
final
No, you-
authority instead of
Yeah,
having
but
an
I-
overlap of members of those 2 boards that, where there may
Well, I
be a
think you
conflict
need
of
some,
interest?
some overlapping into it, because I think what they're gonna try to do is change the makeup of that board
Oh,
Well, it would be.
to be, to remove the political membership of it and stack it with aviation-oriented people.
Would it be simpler to say that, if you're gonna be a member of the IBA board, you should appoint or not be on boards of other
Yes, I think so.
entities that you obviously are doing business with.
Could be a conflict.
In this case, the airport authority and the IBA are, in essence, doing business together. And for the most part, those boards are almost mirror images.
Is the appointee by the chairman also on the airport authority? Is that?
Yes. The airport authority has 3 additional members as well.
But they're the 2 that are on the.
The 2
in
that are
other
on the
words,
IBA
everyone that
also
is currently
serve.
on the,
The 2 that serve on the
Everyone that's on the IBA is
also
on the
serve
airport
on the
authority.
airport
But
authority.
you've got.
every single member.
Every single member.
Okay.
Which shouldn't continue.
No,
No,
that
that's
to
a-
me,
that's a good
that
point.
should be separated, that should be separate members. Because you've got a real chance there of conflicts of interest. And nobody is watching anybody on those, I mean, it's just,
kind of like you have one.
Okay,
meeting
we're
where they
agreeing.
say, let's approve this, and then go into another meeting, and it's gonna, they're carrying a majority, even though there's additional members, they're,
so if it were separate,
Well,
then you have different.
Really, it would be okay, but they happen to commingle.
too much.
Yeah, it's, personally, I think that if the IBA had nothing to do with the airport authority, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Mhm.
The whole real issue is that they, in my opinion, loaned money legally, but it was improper, and it wasn't good for the IBA. It made the IBA, short of cash, just on a presumption that something was gonna happen and be able to reimburse it. That would not have happened, or it would have been less likely to happen, had it been just like what you're talking about, total separate entities, and they had come and said, hey, guys, this is what we're thinking about doing, what y'all think? They said, well, hey, man, we can't give up all we got for y'all to be successful.
Right.
We have to maintain some level of, capital requirements here ourselves.
Solvency.
So do you say one of those committee members that's coming on is gonna be on both committees, but that is a 1-year term and that rotates out? So you keep.
I think that might be that's a good idea. I think that you limit them, but you need at least one representative from the IBA needs to be on there. But I just.
But I mean, I don't think anything more than.
But
a year's
a 1-year
would be-
term, and it rotates,
Exactly.
among the appointed members,
Mhm.
since the others are already on there.
Right, since everybody's already
Yeah.
on there.
Mhm.
So in that
Yeah, I
gets-
think
I mean,
that's a-
that
I
gets-
think that's
that
a
gets
real good
fresh eyes-
suggestion.
That gets fresh eyes on
Well, that's right.
everything.
Mhm.
All right, so we're talking about the IBA member, there'll be
Yeah.
1 on the airport authority as well.
Right.
Then how's that determine who that is?
I would suggest that the IBA itself make that
Right, so
that
they-
appointment,
they-
and set up a rotating scheduled for 1
I
year.
did have a question about something you said there. You were talking about having 3 persons to serve on the authority. And we also talked about.
Well, he already appoints 2, so all I'm doing is adding an appointment for himself in that
But
situation.
we were talking about the people of Dallas, and hiring the mayors of the respective cities.
Uh-huh.
Are they also gonna get an appointment, or are they just gonna have?
Under what, yeah, and they don't have an appointment now.
No, they just have a seat, and that's
Right,
it.
right.
That's the only
Uh-huh.
person that can
And
be
in
on.
lieu of their seat, they get.
So it'd be
appoint
in lieu
somebody.
of, or it would be
Well, it
addition
depends
to?
on which route we go. Under this proposal, it would be in lieu of the seat, because we're moving all elected officials
Mhm.
from the IBA and replacing them with people that are appointed by the mayors.
Right.
And that sort of thing, with the approval of the council. See, none of these appointments have another layer of approval, and that's a big addition, because I think that gives some oversight that's lacking now.
The city council needs to also approve those folks, and
Mhm.
then say Dallas, whoever that
Yeah,
person
not like
is.
this, the way we've recommended this is, the mayor of city of Dallas will make his appointment, and it has to be approved by the city council of Dallas.
Mhm.
Same thing goes for hiring.
Mhm.
There's no way that we should ask the city of Dallas to bow to the approval of the hiring city
No,
council
no,
of their
no.
appointment. So
Right,
each
right.
one only is
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
expected.
and then when they have this meeting, I mean, I'm just thinking about the meeting and the process of the meeting. When they have this meeting, then Dallas can give a report about what he's seen at the Dallas City Council. Hiram does the same, and they're not going to every meeting like we were talking about earlier, about those guys having to go to every meeting
Right.
to try to keep up all that information, Joey.
Well, the vast majority of the business is conducted at the county level anyway. And so that's where your reports are coming from. I mean, the IBA recruits the business to Paulding County. It's nice to have the city of Dallas on board with it, but the bottom line is, the likelihood of the city of Dallas or the city of Hiram recruiting a business of the magnitude that we're talking about.
Well, and I think
are slim to none.
in thinking on this for a moment, is in reality, what's gonna happen is, some entity, whether it's the county or whether it's economic development or something, is going to come to the board and make a presentation of, hey, this is what we need the IBA to do so that we can do this. So, in retrospect, and reflecting, it's probably simpler than I was trying to make it. I made it more complicated. Because that's what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna come make a petition to the airport authority or to the IBA, and then they will collectively probably go back to the city and then give a report of what's being requested. It's probably backwards from what I was thinking.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. It's probably gonna be more information flowing the other way.
Yeah. So that's not, so, all right. See, I'm reasonable. I'm hearing you guys. Man, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I picked it up right away. All right, so right now we're looking at 3, I mean, just kind of look at this with me. We're looking at 3 from the government head with approval from the majority of the commission.
Right.
1 from the mayor of Dallas, 1 from the mayor of Hiram, and then 1 from the chamber. So that's 6,
Mhm.
just like it is now. All right, just to throw a wrench in there, is what about the, if there is an economic development, which there is, Jamie Gilbert, is that someone else we want in the mix? And I'm just thinking odd numbers.
I'm not sure, because that needs, those need to be separated as far as possible, because each has its own identity and its own purpose. And if you get too much overlap, that's where you can get a conflict. Economic development, they're out there marketing Paulding County. That's their purpose, market Paulding County. The IBA's purpose is to provide facilities that would attract
All right, so
fiscal
what you're
plan,
saying is Jamie doesn't
land.
need to be on here, but if he
Right.
had somebody say, man, if y'all had a spec building, I would have been interested. And so he might
Well,
come in here and say,
I
hey,
think we
guys.
already are
this
getting
is-
that kind of communication, and there should be a liaison between it, but I don't think economic development needs to be a voting member of the IBA. I think that's just I I think that would be a conflict of interest, really. But I think that there's a good enough communication there, you got a good, because Jamie stays on top of what is available. And his loyalty is not necessarily to the IBA. If there's a private developer that has a better facility, then Jamie needs to take him to the better facility.
Well, but now, that's saying that IBA has another agenda, which I don't think is true.
No.
The IBA was said, hey, man, whatever brings
Yeah.
the,
Mhm.
you know, business to the community and does jobs, we don't care who they get it from.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
But I think Raymond's right, there needs to be a tiebreaker on every committee, I think, when you've got 6 people and what happens when you have a 3-3 vote?
Well, it's real, the way to eliminate that is they elect their own chairman, and then you've got and the chairman doesn't vote.
unless
Don't
it's
you already
a-
have somebody that's a chair over the
Well,
IBA?
you won't, we didn't set it up in here, the chair, they elect their own chairman
Right.
as it stands now. We're not changing that, and right now, the chair doesn't vote.
I still just don't see the conflict between the two, and I mean, so. help
The
me.
two talking about the.
IBA and the
And
economic
economic
development.
development? Well,
I think they work, and they should work together.
well, they do work together, you know, but I think that if IBA and, or if economic development were to have a seat as a voting member, then where your conflict could be created, and I'm not saying it would be, because I know it wouldn't be with Jamie, because I know the kind of person he is, but that's not necessarily, but if the IBA had a just a hypothetical, say the IBA has a 20,000 square foot industrial building that has some marginal things for a prospective business that wants to locate here. And there's another facility in the county that has a better facility. And but because the IBA needs to sell something to stay operational, he pushes that more than he does the other. It takes away the fairness. Now, I'm not saying that would happen, but it sure does open the door for that kind of.
Well, I'm
In
naive,
that
because I think
situation.
most people think, you know, let's.
But I
just do
work
what's
in that
right.
business, and I'm gonna tell you, I see this kind of stuff happen, because economic development would have a vested interest in.
I know, but in the same token, you know, he could very well come and say, hey, they're gonna buy this private piece of property only if we do this, and I need the IBA to help me with this, so that we can get these people who's gonna bring 300 jobs to the community. You
He
know,
could
you
still
got-
do that without a seat on the board,
and I
right? Is
agree,
that- does
I agree
that-
with that,
Yeah,
but I
that's
just.
the way he
You
does
gotta
it,
remember.
That's what
That's the way he
I,
does now, but I'm just,
You gotta remember that the IBA has the advantage of being able to approve tax abatements, where economic development does not. They
Yeah, I
can
know,
come in and recommend that, but it.
so he already has
and
a
it-
building.
Now you
incentive.
put him in the position of having a.
but it still goes through the funnel, through the system. I mean, it
Well,
still
I
is only
understand
a
that.
recommendation, it can't be enacted by the IBA, they have to vote on it.
I think the tax abatements don't require the approval of the county commissioners. The IBA votes to do that, and that's the way.
Yeah, I don't think so, but,
But on the other hand, you don't want to take away from the private opportunity.
That's exactly right.
all right, so,
You don't want government.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna.
I think there's a good enough communication now that that's really a can of worms we don't really need.
So you think we're good with 6, and then they elect a
They
chairman?
elect a chairman. And as it stands now, their own chairman.
Which would be someone to kind of run their meeting anyway.
That's right, that's basically, and the chairman does not have a vote when they take a vote, only the other members do.
That is the current rule.
Yeah, that's where they're operating now.
Yeah, well, that makes
Or at least that's
sense.
what I've observed. I don't know that.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you confirm that?
I guess you'd have to look at their documents, but I mean, I don't,
Let me, you mind if I ask, for a public opinion?
Not at all.
What do you guys think about where we're headed with this thing?
Excuse me, I went to the ARC meeting in Atlanta yesterday, Atlanta Regional Commission.
Right.
There's an uproar from the citizens. They're headed in the direction y'all are doing. The citizens are wanting more elected people on that board to have accountability, because one of the uproars you got in the county now is all these people on these boards that are appointed doing stuff with tax money, and they're appointed people. That's one of the uproars you got in the neighborhood now.
So you're saying that, I mean, I'm just asking, because where do you weigh in on, we're looking at almost all elected except 2 appointees, or all appointees?
From what I seen yesterday at the state level and everybody down there, they're wanting like the chairman to be an elected person, because if you go to all appointed people, you take out all accountability, because when we've got the elected
Well,
people there.
you don't take out any accountability under this, because all of the financial stuff that the IBA is
Well, it still
predicated
ultimately
on
goes
the
to an elected
issuing
official.
of bonds, which have to be approved by the county commission. Because if the county commission doesn't back the bonds, the IBA can't issue the bonds. The Atlanta Regional Commission is a whole different ball
Well,
of
the
wax.
same thing here though, a lot of the issue you got amongst the people out here in the public is the fact that this IBA board has got appointed people that's sitting up there making motions and second motions, and they're appointed people that don't have really any accountability. And here's another thing to look at, guys. The IBA, who do they really answer to? The IBA, who do they answer? Who's their boss? The whole IBA board, who are they accountable to?
At the whim of the commissioners.
Yeah, the Board of Commissioners.
No, they're not. Board of Commissioners does not have any, the only person that has any ruling over them is David. The rest of these guys just vote for the bonds. They have no control. Tommy Graham has sat right here and said, the only control I got is the voting for the money.
Well, that's,
The money
money
controls
is,
it.
I mean, that's the name
The
of the
money
game
is
though,
in
Roy.
it.
They can't do anything without the money.
Right, but the problem you've had, and I'll shut up and leave my stuff out of it, the problem you've had is the IBA has been the secret bank for the airport authority and loaned it money, and it was never intended to be a bank for
Yeah,
the authority.
And there's no question that,
Right.
I think we've addressed that. And I agree with that. Jerry?
Oh, I was just, I think what Roy's trying to say is that with the elected official on the board, accountability goes with them, but, I think if you go to a position of making appointments, that those same governing bodies need to be able to remove the said appointees if it's obvious that they need to be removed. So that there still is some.
Are you gonna put term limits on these
Yeah,
appointees?
The only appointees are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the appointees would have term.
there was a,
Can they be reappointed for 3 terms, or,
Yeah, the way y'all wrote it, it could be.
they could be reappointed, yes.
but
They
you
don't
need,
have to be though, I mean, that's.
they don't have to be, but another complaint at the state was everybody was crying that nobody be allowed to serve over 2 terms.
Well, I don't have a problem with that.
No, I don't either.
But to be honest with you, I don't think that's a problem with the appointees, because of the amount of time they've done 2 terms, they're not glad to get off of it.
There you go.
I know the ones that I know personally on there are of that opinion, you know, I mean, I've done this, I put in my time, it's time for somebody else to step up.
All right, so, all right, guys, anybody else got something y'all wanna share? All right, so then we're at this is where we are, is, do we wanna, at this point, because I think y'all have swayed me to some degree, I still think there needs to be some, I'm kinda like, I would like to come to a commission meeting and stand at the podium and say, hey, I wanna talk to you about the IBA, because by golly, you're on it. You know, whereas you can't do that with an appointee. You might corner them out here in your yard somewhere, you know, and give them a
Well,
fistful of dollars.
where does the head of the IBA, where does he sit in all this?
You talking about the guy that's hired?
Yeah, the paid employee,
Right.
well, he's an
Yeah,
he's an
an
employee of the county, and he's more of a liaison person. He doesn't have a vote, he just brings the information to the IBA.
Does he have a vote now?
No, no, no. but
All right,
he
Roy
does-
seems to have issue with
Just chime in, he's an employee of the county as far as the airport authority.
Well,
The
but
IBA
that's getting
pays.
ready to be, that's getting ready to be separated.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, and that's
it
part of our
currently is.
earlier recommendations is that he not be, that we do not have this dual service.
Right.
So we will have an IBA person that's strictly IBA, has nothing to do
Is
with
the
any
IBA
other
still gonna pay
authorities.
that person?
Well,
Hey, what,
That-
hang on, what person?
The director,
they
like
would
Blake
be
is
an
now?
employee of the county.
So the county's
The
gonna
IBA
pay,
has no funds to pay anybody.
Well, but they got funds from the county.
Yeah.
I mean, you
My
know, so,
point.
but yeah, the
You're
IBA
swapping money.
would pay. But, you know, as we know, it's county money.
right,
But yes.
okay.
So, but they would not be allowed to serve as the hired employee of
For both.
any other
Or any other.
authority, whether it be the library board or the water board or the airport authority or any other thing like any additional board. The way our recommendations are, you know. Yeah, fire department, you know, I mean,
Do what, Jerry?
Does the current legislation that establishes the IBA allow the members to appoint right now? Does it allow?
No, it's strictly what it says is.
the only one that
there's
has
six, there's the mayor of Dallas, Mayor Hiram, there's just the ones we listed.
And the head of the Paulding County
Doesn't allow
government
them.
has the authority to appoint the two.
They can hire someone.
Yeah.
They can appoint,
No, they can hire, any
Yeah,
of
the
this
only-
board, the members can hire
you can hire somebody to work
to
on
work
it,
on. Right.
The only,
but they cannot make an appointment.
well, the
Legislation.
chairman of the Paulding County Commission is the only one that has the
Well,
right
but-
to make appointments.
But we're assuming that they're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two appointments that are already there cannot appoint
Right.
someone else.
So,
I think it's simpler to just allow them to modify if it's, I mean, it's obviously gonna require legislation to do it.
Well, anything you do is gonna require a constitutional amendment.
That's right. And it would be simpler to allow them to be on the board, but not part of other boards, or allow them to make an appointment on that board.
Well, because it's the airport authority, how was that board? Was it constitutionally?
No, it's legislative,
So which one's easier to change?
the airport
There.
authority.
So there may be some merit to what he's saying too, with
Well,
what's gonna actually be feasible to happen.
yeah, I think, well, the way it works, according to what I have read and what the attorneys have told me, that in order to change the industrial building authority in any way, its membership, the power appointment, any of that thing, requires a constitutional amendment. The procedure for a constitutional amendment requires that the city councils of both entities and the Board of Commissioners, including the chairman and all the post commissioners, get with a local legislative delegation, and the local legislative delegation submits the resolution calling for the constitutional amendment. It's the things that you see on the ballot. Shall the Constitution be
Yeah,
amended?
it's
to-"
doable.
Yeah, and it requires a statewide vote. Under the airport authority is a legislative body, and all they have to do to change it, to make those changes with it, is again, the same entities have to make a request to the local legislative delegation, including both the House and Senate side, and they sponsor a bill under the local legislative procedure, which is a pretty much, if our representatives go down there and say, hey, we want to change this for Paulding County, you know, it's gonna
Right,
go
it's
through.
gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
All right. So what we have on the table then is, total revamping the, members of the, IBA, or keeping what we got, and letting the airport authority make their changes. I mean, agree? I mean, is that right? So,
That's pretty much our alternatives.
so which is more likely to happen? I mean, we can make whatever we want, but you got, you know, it needs to be something that has a chance of being fulfilled. Both of them can be done. Legislatively is a lot easier.
Do you necessarily need to do both? The recommendation, I think, should be that you not have the amount of overlap on both boards that you do. How that's attained could be,
Well, I don't think we need to even.
Well, you know
delve
what,
into the-
you may be, that may be, when we make a recommendation, we can lay out 2 or 3 scenarios, the way that it can be done,
Right.
and let them decide which one they want to do,
If any.
if any.
Yeah, I think that, I would, the recommendation that Jerry and I submitted, I would include, the other stipulation that no appointee shall serve more than 2 consecutive terms.
Okay, only got 2 terms.
Mhm.
We'll add that to it. That does, you know.
All right, so then
now-
let's make the recommendation then, that there are several options, but with the ultimate goal being that there's no, dual, serving on multiple boards.
Right.
Authorities.
Authorities.
Or boards, because you got some of them, you got a library board and a water board, and then you got an airport authority and a.
So you wouldn't wanna be on none of those, or that just
I
be
don't
this
think,
one or nothing?
well, you know, I don't think, well, first of all, I don't think it's likely to happen, but if we're gonna limit it to but you could get into a conflict with somebody on the fire.
Man, y'all are as bad as, the attorney. The only thing I can run for is local school board. I can't run for nothing else.
Well, you wouldn't get.
You know, just because I'm a bail bondsman, I can't run for nothing. You know, and so that's what y'all trying to limit, can't nobody do nothing.
Well, I mean, if I had my way,
You're not
allowing
you're not a retired school teacher, you can't be on the library.
you're gonna do.
All they do is muddy the water.
You're gonna do it well.
What the heck, man? Okay. So, y'all will fix that to your term limit,
I've already.
all right? And submit it back to us,
Okay.
and, all right, let me just ask, is it okay that we all review that in an email before we come back here and discuss it? Okay.
Okay.
We will make no final decisions till we're here, but I would ask that you would submit
Sure.
your draft to all of us. Let us kind of get this all squared away.
Sure.
The other option that we're gonna submit is also that it stay like it is.
Yeah, I mean, if the airport authority makes changes that, in essence, are
Well,
gonna
I
achieve
think
what we want.
I think that's a
You don't
given.
need to do
Yeah.
anything.
From what and I've been to a lot of.
But it really needs
meetings.
to say if the airport authority is willing to make changes. If
Well, I think
not,
their
we need
steering
to-
committee's coming forth with some recommended changes there, because I've been to a lot of those meetings as well, when they haven't conflicted with this meeting. And I've had discussions with several members of that, committee.
You know, well, this didn't happen to you, Ken.
It's all your fault, huh?
Maybe it would have happened earlier.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, see what you did? We could have been done.
Well, some of us have to work for a living, you know.
All right, so those are the only 2, or was there something else we talked about?
We're just gonna incorporate the prior, recommendations that we had discussed earlier.
Yeah, all those.
Into our report.
Okay.
You know.
And then,
This,
Yes.
okay.
So all we'll do is put
Yeah, put it all
this,
together.
put it all together in one.
and then we had a major discussion on the makeup of the membership. And the bottom line is that whoever serves on the IBA does not need to serve anywhere else, that their interest needs to lie with
That's right.
the Industrial Building Authority. Okay, and then however that can be limited, then that's the way they need to do, whatever. All right, so the next, our next meeting,
Okay.
we will be able to, I'm gonna try to put this in a form that we have, those recommendations that we all agreed upon last meeting, attach this recommendation to it, and then, we'll look at it, peruse it, maybe make a few changes, and then we'll,
Okay.
We'll
Are we gonna
approve
try-
it to
are
be
we gonna try
submitted to
have
the-
a called meeting prior to the next scheduled meeting to accomplish this?
no, I think if we can.
Well, I've got a real conflict with the
Here we go,
September
golf.
meeting. No, this is a family, business thing. and I'm gonna be gone,
So that's September 25th.
yes.
I mean, they,
I mean, I can get my stuff to you without any problem, but I have a,
the only other open date I got is the 11th or the 4th, which is 4th is next week, I think.
well, I can do the 11th easily.
Well, unless we just do a total different day altogether, than a Thursday. Matt, what's your,
I don't know if you get the notices.
And just again,
or the 20, we could do it Monday or Wednesday.
I'm gonna be gone the 17th through the 20th,
The weekend,
and then the next week, the 23rd through, or the 24th through the,
well, the week of the 15th is
Fall break for the schools.
yeah.
well, I'm gonna be,
A lot of people
yeah.
aren't available that week.
How's the 22nd, 23rd look for?
I could do the 23rd.
23rd's okay for me.
How's it, you got to be in Kentucky?
Nothing I know for a minute.
All right, I'm gonna miss a Boy Scout Board of Review meeting, but I'm gonna be here
23rd.
in September. All right, so we're gonna do a called meeting for September 23rd. Yeah, if you put that in there, then I'll let,
At 6 o'clock, just like this one is.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
Either in this room, unless they won't put it somewhere else, but it'll be posted.
The 23rd is a Tuesday.
Mhm.
Is that the, no, that's the,
Is that a commission meeting? or
Oh,
something?
let's see.
no, they're on
Oh,
the
I-
second and fourth. They're on the second and fourth Tuesdays. That's not,
That's the 4th.
that is the fourth Tuesday. Yes, that will be a commission meeting, but we could meet downstairs in the cafeteria. And the commission, what time's the commission meeting start? It's not till 7:30. 7?
10 and, is it 10 and 2 that day?
Ten and two is the, planning and zoning, but seven is the.
It's the nighttime meeting,
One
right?
thing too, that kinda, I mean, you guys don't have to go by this or whatever,
Is
but
that the same night?
security wise, anytime you're in this building, we have to have security open downstairs for everybody, and then we have to have 2 in each meeting. And like tonight, how they put one at the airport and one here, now that takes 6 officers,
Wow.
because 2 have to go there and 4 have to go here.
Right.
So like when it's done the same nights, like on the second Thursday of every month, one can go in that room, one can go in this room, and public can be, they can go freely in between, and it's only 2
Okay,
hours.
but if we do it on the night of a commission meeting, then you'll be here anyway.
Yeah, but we start at 7, so, if you guys, you can
Oh,
only.
you would need
be-
2 in our meeting, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So it depends on where you're at. Like, if you could do it in the or in the conference room over there, then we can just set 2 in between.
We don't care which room it's in.
Yeah.
I just,
Well, it's just depending on who wants to, I don't know what
Okay.
you guys want about your audiences,
But-
but.
But you said something about planning and zoning. Is that the same?
oh no,
That's
that's
at 2
a
o'clock.
morning and afternoon planning session.
All right, so we're still
Work session
good
in the
for that
morning,
6
planning and
o'clock
zoning
on that
meeting
Tuesday?
afternoon.
We should be, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Roy, be 2 places at one time. You got more than one camera?
Would like to tell you, thank you for allowing public comment.
Yeah, well, I
We're
mean,
here to serve the public, and
it's
so,
a, I don't pretend to have all the answers, obviously. I've got opinions, but hey, I can be swayed. Y'all don't make it easy. All right.
I just like complicating your life, man.
I got plenty of that, thank you, though.
I know you do.
All right, so this is what we want to get accomplished at the next meeting. Let's get as much information to each other. Let's get it as finalized as we can. And then when we meet, we'll talk about how we can wrap this thing up. And hopefully what we end up with after the next meeting will be like, that's it, make these changes, we all agree with those changes that we're good. And then we'll be able to submit to, or we'll let the commissioners know we're ready.
Okay.
All right, now you guys are good. All right, with that, is anything else that we need to discuss?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned until September 23rd.